Our lead story is brought to you, sponsored by Grand Prix Auto Sports. They are conveniently located at the corner of County Line and Santa Fe Road. We have a guy that we're supposed to pull up in a second. I'll tell you what he looks like. Jim Kaczynski's on his Indian Chieftain motorcycle. There he is. There he is. Check out that really sexy motorcycle. You need to get you one of those, Kizsla. All right, again, they are conveniently located in the corner of County Line Road and Santa Fe. Let's get to the March Madness. Day one is in the books. It looks like the sky is falling for the Big 12 conference. What do you guys think? You said you forgot Texas. Baylor lost, Iowa State lost, Texas lost. What's going on with them?
Texas may have lost a coach too. I mean, Texas, Rick Barnes.
You're not a fan.
I am not a fan of Rick Barnes.
Why?
Because he can't. Because he has the number one marquee school in the state of Texas. The state of Texas just is a really big state with a lot of good athletes in it. In terms of basketball, Austin is not that far from Houston, and Houston has a lot of really good basketball players, and he recruits well. And then for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the Texas basketball team is lucky to get in the tournament and then gets what it deserves by getting beat. So, Texas needs to go in a different direction. You know who I would hire if I were Texas?
Who?
Larry Stacey.
You think he'd leave CSU?
Yeah.
For Texas?
Yes,
Are you
would.
for a 50% pay raise or a 100% pay raise? He'd leave in a
school
heartbeat.
that has its own television network.
Right.
He's gone.
Didn't Graham, before he left, the athletic director, put in a lot of stipulations to prevent another Miles situation from coaches leaving? So they would have to pay him a lot of money just about his contract.
Well, I think to get out of Barnes' contract, they'd have to pay Barnes like $2 million. So if they're going to throw $2 million at Barnes, why would they not throw another $2 or $3 million at CSU to say, hey, we want your basketball coach? And I am serious as serious can be. If Texas fires Barnes and doesn't pick up the phone and at least inquire about Larry Stacey, they haven't done their due diligence. Because that guy can coach, and I just talked to him right before the tournament. I believe he turned 60 years old this year, but he says, look at everybody else. I think Coach K he's pushing 70 now. I mean, he sticks his hair in the bottle of India ink, but basketball coaches now go to 70 rather than to 60, and Stacey believes he has another good 10-year ride in him. So. I'm the agent, Larry. I'll get you the job in Texas. I need 4%. That's all I need.
Okay, that's cheap.
I am cheap. I'm reasonable.
Yeah, there you go.
4%, 10 years though.
Yeah.
Texas schools went 0 for 5 in the tournament yesterday.
Whoa.
First time first time in like 10 years a state has lost 5 games in the opening round.
So what you're trying to say is a football state.
Well, but has the state of Texas lost national basketball credibility?
Yeah.
Or is that just the result of this year?
Yeah.
And next year's a brand new year.
Well, that brings up a good point. Given all the upsets yesterday, is this tournament getting harder and harder to accurately seed?
Oh, I think so. I think there's more parity, and not just in college basketball, but in all sports. And it's the teams. The smaller teams have to go out and recruit harder. They can find those hidden gems, and it's able to bring those guys in and get an upset. The style of play also, with the slow down college basketball style, it's easier to get an upset as well.
The fact that 2 number 14 seeds did win, and an additional number 14 seed in Northeastern pushed Notre Dame right to the limit.
Set the tone for the day.
Well, also, if I remember correctly, weren't all those number 14 seeds from the conference that you go, where is that conference at, and who all plays in that conference? So that does give the mid-major idea that that the difference between basketball teams are not that great. Just because your name is Baylor and you're from Texas and your athletic department is throwing all kinds of money into your athletic program doesn't mean that you are a legitimate number 3 seed, and that the parity from, I'm not saying the 1 and 2 seeds, but 3 through 14,
yes,
that's pretty. It's not a whole lot of difference. I know the CBS crew, Kenny and Charles, were saying, I'm watching Stephen F. Austin play, and the only difference I see between them and the team they're playing is the seed in front of them, and the talent is not that great. The talent gap is not that great.
So how do you evaluate these mid-majors who haven't played anyone?
The hard part is that if you're a mid-major of a reputation, a Power 5 school certainly won't come to your place and play, and they don't want to play you at all because they don't want Stephen F. Austin or even CSU gaining RPI or computer ranking credibility by beating a Power 5 school. You can go just up the road to Boulder. Tad Boyle, I love the man, but he doesn't really like playing Wyoming or DU or CSU because he thinks that's all. There's nothing to be gained.
There is no win for the major school to play a mid-major because of chances of losing. There is no win for that.
Yeah, and they went to Wyoming this year and they scored 33 points. I mean, and actually that was the game where I went like, whoa, CU's got real problems.
Yeah, because
they've talked about we're gonna be a better offensive team, and then they go up there and they score 33 in a whole game.
And was that not the game where Askia Booker in the game time decision is mismanaging the clock, or didn't something happen? It was, for me, was it one of the earlier games in the season where you started to say there's some problems here?
Yeah, and we saw them real early, and if your team starts coming apart on a trip to Laramie, if you're a head coach, maybe you say, well, we just won't go to Laramie anymore. We can solve that.
Yeah.
All right, SMU got hosed. Was it goaltending?
Come on, what do you think?
By the letter of the rule, did they get hosed? No. But, considering there were two refs, the three refs on the floor, the guy furthest away from the ball who had probably the worst angle on it, he was the guy who made the call.
Yeah.
So, tough call in that situation, but by the letter of the rule, yes.
That was goaltending by the letter of the rule.
But I see the NCAA bringing in the referees this offseason and kind of going over the mechanics of that. Whose call is this? Who's got the right angle? Because, again, the guy 35 feet away from the bucket makes the call with the worst angle. Two other guys, much better angles, don't make the call.
I think in the off-season training programs that there will be a segment on who calls goaltending. But before that, I think there were some texts and emails flying even yesterday, like, "Whoa, fella, I love you stepping up in March Madness, but maybe you shouldn't step up from 40 feet away and give the win to UCLA." And how did that make our buddy Larry Eustachy feel? He's like, oh, man, we should have been there instead of UCLA. And now UCLA not only got their bid, they're playing again on Saturday.
Absolutely. I mean, they came back from a 7-point deficit. Whether it was a hose job or not, it was certainly a choke job from SMU. So to your point, a lot of people were salty that UCLA was invited to the dance over CSU. Does yesterday's game completely negate that argument?
Does in my mind. I mean, again, I love what Eustachy did. I'm trying to get him the job in Texas and make him a whole lot of money and put him in a situation where he could go deep in the big dance. So I love what CSU did, but UCLA was and is a better basketball team. And if you ask my honest opinion, it can be wrong, but UCLA's in the round of 32 and CSU didn't make the NIT round of 16. I mean, I rest my case.
Yeah, and I played on the Steelers team. We lost to the Chargers in the AFC Championship game. The Chargers go on and get blown out by the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
That was a terrible Super Bowl. You lost to that Chargers team?
Right. So,
I forgot that.
So when I'm sitting there watching the Super Bowl, am I saying to myself, we could do better than this?
Of course.
Well, that's what every loser says. So to do the revisionist history and say, well, if we were in this game, we would have done this, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's a game-to-game proposition. The Chargers beat us in Pittsburgh, therefore they deserve to go to the Super Bowl. Now, they didn't play very well against the Niners.
Yeah.
Perhaps we would have played better, but they beat us to get that berth, and that's just how it goes. You can't always say, well, you can't look back and say, well, we would have done better. You should have done better in the game that you lost.
Right.
Then you would eliminate all this argument about it.
Right.